This is the Planet Reigate podcast.
And this is Peter Stewart bringing it to you for Saturday, the 6th of July 2024. It is episode 43. Welcome to this week's show. And all sorts of things going on this week. My guests, Lucille is with me from Petite Ecole, a weekend and holiday club French school in Redhill that teaches French to very young children all the way through to A-levelers. Hear from her and some of the students a bit later on. Plus, on today of all days, I'm hesitating to say this, let's talk politics. Okay, nothing about this election, don't turn off. But what I've been doing is I've been taking a look back at some of the colourful characters and scandalous stories from years gone by and how they still play a part in local life here today. Oh, and I should say right here, right now, that some of that feature contains the use of AI-generated voices. You'll hear more about that a little bit later on. In the news this week, this is how we're reflecting and celebrating our love of life around here. Plans to turn an office block in Redhill into almost 100 flats. A special award for a woman in Hawley for services to the community. Plans already underway for a local winter night shelter. A reminder of free parking in some of our local towns. We have details of 2 new shops which have opened. A huge new arts festival is taking over Redhill in the autumn. We have advanced details. Plus, the best local places just to drive away to pick your own fruit. Talking about driving, we've got details of next weekend's M25 closure as well. In sport, free run Reigate places up for grabs, and a couple of unusual jobs, one at the Belfry and the other where the job description is you have to like lemon sherbets. That sounds intriguing, doesn't it? Stay tuned for more on that one. Of course, we've got the Good Time Guide of events across the area across the week. We've got Planet Reigate Stars for people who helped a distressed woman in Reigate. Plus, our 60-second soundscape before we go at the end of the show this week. Well, last week we had bells at the Belfry. This week, bells from a local church. All that and more as the Planet Reigate podcast continues.
This is the Planet Reigate podcast with Peter Stewart.
And of course, you'll find the time that each of those features are on in our show notes, so you can scooch straight through to that particular point. And don't forget to subscribe to the show in your favourite podcast app. And if that wasn't enough, let's look back briefly at episode 31. We heard from Redhill musician Jamie, how he grew up in the area and went on to be a producer, his mentorship of local young people, and his hopes for invigorating the music scene in his hometown. You'll find that episode on our page on your favourite podcast app. So go through and listen to that one. The postbag this week got a message from Sally Pet's Dog Rescue on social, who said simply, "We love your podcast. Thank you so much indeed. And we love you for loving us." That's how it goes. Bit of reciprocity there for you. And our recent supporters, Catherine, bought me a coffee. She said, "Thank you so much for all your good work." Yeah, she bought me a coffee on a system called Buy Me a Coffee. And that's an online service. If you look that up on your phone, then what you can do is you can send me the cost of a cup of coffee. It's like buying me a coffee, but virtually, if you like. So you just tap a couple of buttons, and then £3 goes through to me. I mean, after all, I like to think that if we met each other kind of socially, one-to-one, eyeball to eyeball, IRL, as the kids say. Do the kids say that? I don't know. In real life, you'd buy me a coffee, maybe, possibly, perhaps, to thank me for doing the Planet Reigate podcast. You can do that virtually. We don't even have to meet. And frankly, you may be relieved about that. This is how you do it. And in fact, these are all of our other contact details. Good time guide coming up in 30 seconds.
Email hello@theplanetreigatepodcast.com. Find out more at theplanetreigatepodcast.com. Leave a text or voice message on WhatsApp 07917 874 572 and leave a review on your favourite podcast app. Support us at buymeacoffee.com/The Planet Reigate podcast.
There it is, there it is.
The Good Time Guide. Things to do and places to go on the Planet Reigate podcast.
And if you want to mention for something that you are organising, let us know about it. You can fill out the form you'll find at theplanetreigatepodcast.com. Couple of weeks' notice is always good. Here we go, starting off with Saturday, July the 6th. And we are partnering with Rayfest at Wray Common. James told us all about it in episode 39. I'm going to tell you a bit more about it coming right now, because main stage, they've got a DJ, they've got the choir, they've got some taekwondo, they've got the unison choir as well, and also they've got a cheer squad as well. This is all happening tomorrow. Feel Good Arena, they've got a petting zoo, Punch and Judy, and also they've got some football fun there and a craft area. Makers Market, they've got Bats Hill Gin, Huddle and Good. I don't know what that is, but anything which is going to get me into it. Oh, sorry, Huddle, not Cuddle. Restory Clothing, Chloe Crafting Corner, and the Food Village. Well, a whole load of fantastic street food going on there, including the usual fair favourites, candy floss and ice cream as well. They've also got a family zone, and of course it is all happening at Wray Common School, and we are pleased and proud to be sponsors and supporters of that fantastic local event. Hope it goes really, really well. Of course, there are other annual summer fetes on across the area. If some of these are local to you, have you maybe got affiliation with some of these? Tomorrow, Saturday, 11 till 1:30, Friends of Fursfield. Games, tombolas, Splat the Teacher, DJ, prizes and refreshments. That's at Fursfield Primary School in Merstham. They say they're hoping the Splatter Teacher's going to be a really big draw. They've also got a smoothie bike, exotic animals, and various other games and stalls as well. Now, where was I? Here we go. Yeah, the whoosh there signifies another item in our good time guide. The Royal Alexandra and Albert School presenting an 8-hour football match. So that's 30 players, 2 managers, 2 referees, and a variety of volunteers taking part in what's called Match-U 2024. It's to raise money in memory of Matthew Van Nort Pendleton, who died a couple of years ago. They say Matthew was a marvellous person, great sense of humour, tremendous ability to work hard, and had such a curiosity for life and never stopped him learning something new. So this 8-hour football match is in memory of him. Kick-off is at 9 at the Royal Alexandra. 6-a-side, 30-minute player rotation, final whistle at 5. They're supporting Mind, one of the UK's leading mental health charities, who support so many people around the country. We wish them good luck. We're starting a charity, says Inspire Through Music, and they say, please can you come along and join us, and indeed enjoy it as well. An evening of live music performance, supporting us in providing opportunities for young people to perform and getting them the professional coaching to succeed, which they perhaps normally couldn't afford. Support our charity launch event, says Inspire Through Music, is happening July the 6th at 7 o'clock at Merstham Village Hall. Tickets £20, and you can get more details through charityinspirefm@gmail.com. Meadvale Village Fete is going on. That's hosted by 34th Reigate Meadvale Scout Group. Is happening between 12 and 4. Swing Common, Somerset Road. Stalls, games, live music, inflatables, food and bar, ice cream van, and a classic car display as well. Let's move on to Sunday. And Gatton Country Fair's been running for more than 20 years. It's now established as one of Surrey's favourite days out. Last year they welcomed around 3,000 visitors. And this year's is this weekend between 12 and 5. Now, as well as attractions and entertainment, more than 60 professional stalls and stands, all taking place in front of the magnificent Gatton Hall. Stunning views across the Surrey countryside. So they've got animal displays including falconry, Newfoundland dog, water rescue team, live music, a fun dog show, children's fairground ride, Punch and Judy, country crafts and circus skills. And as I say, it's a stunning location for all this to happen. More information, gattonpark.co.uk if you're interested in going along to that. Also, HID Fitness are very excited to announce they've got an event going on in Hawley at Ember Studios Sunday between 2:30 and 4:30. It's a relaxation retreat designed and especially for any stage of early motherhood. So whether you're pregnant or just become a new mum, it's your time to connect, relax and unwind. An afternoon just for you to take some time out and recharge. There's going to be a welcome circle, jar-filling exercise to take away for your motherhood journey, guided meditation, followed by sound bath relaxation, a mindful close with affirmations to take home. And if you want some more information on that, Becca, BECCA, at beyourownbirth.co.uk. And they say we really look forward to seeing you there. So all sorts of events right across the area, right across the weekend. So if you want some more information on those, contact the various people who are holding those events. And if you have got something you would like to tell the rest of the Planet Reigate area about, drop me an email. hello@theplanetreigatepodcast.com. Later on in the show, we'll hear about the scandalous stories and the family corruption through the years of our local MPs. Did you know that for some time the boroughs of Reigate and Gatton were so corrupt in their politics that the area was banned from returning any MP at all? But first, there's a local school where almost everything is said in French, and where the teachers take very seriously the idea that it's much easier learning a foreign language the younger you start. But at this school, it's not just grammar and vocab, it's also culture and conversation, arts and sports, everything French. I've been talking with Lucille and some of her students at Petite Ecole Reigate at Wray Common Primary School.
Saturday French school with all the kids coming. So all these kids are bilingual children. So they have at least one parent in their family talking to them in French. And so they're coming for their French lessons every Saturday afternoon.
That's quite tough, isn't it? They've been at school all week and suddenly they're sitting in the classroom again on a Saturday afternoon.
But they're doing it and it's just fun. We try to make the lessons as fun as possible. We want them to enjoy the language. We want them to be curious about languages in general. And the thing is, we also want them to learn a little bit about the culture as well. And they come to have fun, to meet their friends. It is school. But it's a fun school.
Excellent.
At least we try to make it a fun school.
Well, it must be if they keep coming back. That's the main thing, isn't it? We don't need to go into the classrooms. Take me on a bit of a tour.
Yes.
And tell me what kind of thing is going on, what age group, what kind of thing they're learning behind each room here. Because we're at Wray Common Primary School. We're in an actual school.
So behind 1P and 1EL, we have classes that are year 1 and year 2, equivalent in England. But in France, what we do in this classing is the children learn to read in French, which is obviously, there's lots of things that they already know, but then they need to know all this weird stuff we do in France, and the children need to learn that. And that's the main objective of these two classes.
They only look about 4 or 5 anyway, looking through. So they're only just learning to read English, and now they're learning to read French as well.
Yes, they are 5 years old and 6 years old in these classes, yes. We do the full primary curriculum, so we'll go on the tour and I'll show you. So we use all the classes in Wray Common. We have 3 years old coming to school, so yes, it is a bit earlier than the classic English school, but we have 3 years old coming to have fun, to play and to develop their language. Here we've got all these little ones. So we start the lesson just by playing, and then we tend to do a theme for them to develop their vocabulary.
It's an English-free zone, is it?
Not completely, because lots of the kids would naturally speak in English because they have much more vocabulary in English. After a term, sometimes the first word that comes to their mind will be in French. So to speak in French is a very big step, and also express a full sentence in French is a very big step. Okay, so then we have another class over here, 7 years old. They are starting to learn grammar in this class. So yes,
so it's not just the individual words, we're now putting together sentences.
Exactly, because we've seen with the 4 years old, we really want them to start speaking in French. But then we learn to read, and now we also add to that the grammar and the conjugation that is quite difficult in France. And I know lots of our listeners might have studied French and know that the grammar is complicated. And
it's pretty difficult, isn't it? Well, it seems for me. I barely understand English.
Well, it's all these tenses we've got for the verb. So this is a lot to learn for the kids.
And also, I suppose it's a whole new concept, isn't it, of knowing about masculine and feminine?
Yes.
Because obviously we don't have that in English.
And it is something that the children struggle with.
And as you can tell, we're moving our way through the school halls. We're going to another part of the school here. You were saying to me a bit earlier on that it's not just French that children of this age are studying.
So some of them speak Spanish, some speaks Korean as well, some speaks Polish, German,
And that's because
Chinese.
of their family background and heritage, yeah?
Yes, exactly. Some of these families have different parents that have different culture behind them both, and they're living in England, so that's why there's at least 3 languages at home.
And is French the language, do you find, that most children want to speak? It always was at school. Obviously, I'm going back a few years.
I wouldn't think so. I think Spanish is now a language that is very spoken, and it seems a bit easier for lots of learners. And it's very attractive as well because you can travel with the Spanish. If you speak English and Spanish, you can travel a lot. So for all these kids, it's a massive advantage to be bilingual already with French and English. It's already so much for their future and their career later on. If you start when you're young, you just learn naturally. Let me open the door. So we are here in one of the other classes. So they are just doing their homework now. We are disturbing them. They're just looking at us. So we might have to be quick in this class.
Faites d'abord un chemin qui marche. Je veux un chemin qui marche. Comme ça, vous êtes sûr qu'il y en a un qui marche. Ça, c'est pas un chemin qui marche, ça.
And you're taking students all the way up to, GCSE and then a bit beyond as well?
So we've got all the primary school curriculum, and then we have also 2 classes above. So one is for our secondary age children, and in this class they study more about a little bit of literature and some themes, because they've studied, like for example, the Second World War on an English point of view in the English school, but we want them as well to know what it was in France, because it was not the same situation. Bonjour. Where we have the secondary school children.
Ensuite, si c'est aller avec au collège, qu'est-ce qu'on pourrait dire? Au collège. Oh, qu'est-ce que c'est? Vas-y. Va. Ok, super, très bien.
And I'm guessing, as well as the vocabulary and the language and so on and the structure, you're also talking about the culture, the food, and you're introducing different ways of learning, I guess, by looking at films, for example, or reading newspapers.
Yes, exactly. So we tend to also have other way to study because we want them to enjoy coming. So they need lots of different ways. We tend to obviously have some lessons when it's February about the crêpe, pancake day. This is very important. But in January we also have la galette. So it is mainly food, I must say. As everybody knows about France, but we'll also do like some books where we study Paris and the monuments of Paris, or we also do the regions of France for the children to know a little bit more. And it's a lot about researching your family as well.
And there's one more class. I'm just going to take a little peek, but they're all quiet, so we're not even going to go in there. You think they're doing an exam or a test
or something? Yes, exactly. So these children are preparing for an exam. This exam is to certify their level in French. So this is because these children are now in A-level. We are not preparing children for GCSEs or A-level because the English school does that very well. What we're preparing the children for is French exams that certify of their French level. So if they want to go and study at university in France, then they've got this exam and then they can go.
Okay, well, let's go and speak to one of the children and ask them why they're learning French on a Saturday afternoon. How did you get into this? Because obviously you're French.
Most of the teachers here and all the children that are coming to this school, it's just the French community because there's so many French people around you.
No, I didn't realise it's a big French community there in Reigate.
It's Reigate, Redhill, Dorking. We have also people coming from Guildford, from Horsham, from Crawley. A big community in the Surrey. So let's find out about Sol. Bonjour, excusez-moi, est-ce que tu pourrais venir avec moi s'il te plaît? Alors Sol, le monsieur il va te poser des questions en anglais et tu vas répondre en anglais aussi, ça te va? Oui?
Okay.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
So this is Sol and this is Peter.
And all I can say is je m'appelle Pierre.
It's good, it's already good.
So, my name's Sol and I'm 9.
And thank you for speaking English, that's good. Why do you come here on a Saturday afternoon, Sol?
My parents just decided to come because my sister started to come.
And why do they think that it's important you learn French?
So, if I do end up working in France, I can speak the language.
Okay, and do you go on holiday to France?
Sometimes.
Have you found it useful to be able to ask for things like in a cafe or a shop?
Yeah.
What kind of things do you ask for? What kind of things have you said?
Like, ask for food and stuff like that.
Is it a bit different from like day school that you go to in the week?
Yeah, it's very different because, like, you get to, like, learn with different people, which is good because you can learn to, like, communicate with other people in different languages.
And do you learn any other languages?
I don't learn Spanish, but I know how to speak Spanish and Chinese.
Oh, wow, gosh. How does your brain cope with splitting up all of the different words into the right languages when you're talking? Because I only speak in English and I can't understand how anyone else can cope with lots of different languages.
Well, you kind of have to forget with other things that you're thinking of that are bothering you, and then you can remember everything.
So if you don't think too hard, it comes naturally after a lot of practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do they teach you here?
My teacher, she, like, at the end of the day, we do, like, acting and drawing and fun things.
It's interactive, isn't it? You're learning as you're playing.
Yeah.
What would you say to other people, perhaps your age, who are thinking, okay, this sounds quite good, but I'm not entirely sure. What would you say to them?
I would say to go for opportunities, because if you've got an opportunity, you may never have it again.
And see what it's like. And if you don't like it, you can move on, can't you? Do something else.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Wow, you're brilliant.
Merci Sol.
Oh, I should say that as well, shouldn't I? Yes. Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Bonjour, bonjour. Ils sont tous excités là. Ils savent, alors ils sont tous excités.
Qu'est-ce que je vous ai dit, les enfants? Bonjour.
Très bien,
Bonjour.
bonjour à tous les enfants. Alors, est-ce qu'on va être prêt pour faire une petite démonstration de poème? Vous avez appris votre poésie cette semaine? Oui.
Oui, donc du coup, en fait, on a une nouvelle poésie donc, qui s'intitule « Comment s'appelle notre nouvelle poésie ?» 1, 2, 3. C'est le printemps, les arbres bourgeonnent, les oiseaux chantonnent, c'est le printemps, le ruisseau s'écoule, les pigeons roucoulent, c'est le printemps, les papillons volent, les chapeaux s'envolent, c'est le printemps et tout le monde est content. Bravo!
Bien les enfants. Oh, bien les enfants.
Super!
Merci les enfants.
Avec plaisir.
Au revoir.
Au revoir. That was fantastic. Thank you so much, Lucille. Now, you have other things that happen, not just on a Saturday afternoon, but during the course of the year as well. And I know you've got various holiday camps where children learn French, including in the summer.
Yeah, exactly. So we want to include everyone who's curious about languages. So we've got holiday camps where we speak French, but also English, obviously, to include everyone. We have one in the summer, but we also do it during the after holidays in general. And we do lots of activities. It's not learning. So we do lots of activities, arts and crafts, upcycling. We do lots of sporty games, gardening or some cooking. And we tend to do a theme for each camp. So, well, the summer one will be the Olympics, obviously, because it will be the Olympics in Paris. So what a better theme for us during the summer holidays.
Okay, and how do people get in touch with you if they're interested in either going along to one of those or coming here on a Saturday afternoon?
They can just contact me on my email at Lucille at petite-ecole-reigate.co.uk or on our website. We are La Petite Ecole de Reigate. If you look into Google, you will find us straight away.
News on the way, plus sports. We've got a couple of jobs you may be interested to hear about as well, and some local travel affecting you if you regularly go on the M25. First of all, let's check out some news that's been happening recently across the area. Plans have been submitted to turn an office block in Redhill into almost 100 apartments. The plans for the 6-storey Red Central building, it's on the A25, on the, essentially it's the high street, isn't it? Includes 76 studio apartments, 14 one-bedroom apartments and 5 two-bedroom residences spread across the 1st to the 5th floors. There's also plans for a ground floor gym. The existing shops on the ground floor will remain unaffected. That's the Red Central building on the High Street. Now, you may be wondering, where's the Red Central building in Redhill High Street? It's one of those that you do know, but you may not know it's called the Red Central. Let me give you a description. So if you go into Redhill down the Brighton Road, Halford's on your right-hand side, under the bridge to the roundabout, and then go left. So don't go to the station, go as though you're going round to the Belfry. It's that building on the right-hand side before that sharp left on the lights to go round to the Belfry. So that is Red Central, and you can read more about that story on the BBC website. A Hawley Town Award has been presented to Jacqueline Jones for services to the community. And part of Jacqueline's citation reads, "She's so modest with regards to all her dedication and hard work that her unparalleled record of voluntary work remains largely invisible to the public eye. To give a flavour of some of her work, she's been trustee of the Henry Smith Hawley charity," we've spoken about that recently, for more than 6 years, and still does voluntary work. She befriends clients for Ashcroft Care Services. During COVID, she helped to distribute food and assist with activities at both the Hawley Food Bank and Hawley Methodist Church. She volunteers at both Renewed Hope Redhill, preparing meals for fundraisers, and at the Hawley Night Shelter as well. So congratulations to Jacqueline. Absolutely, she deserves a round of applause, doesn't she? Another item here, talking about Renewed Hope. It may only be summer, but plans are already underway for their winter night shelter. And what they want to do is to expand the season. So they're looking for another couple of places that can host some people actually into March. So they say if you share in their mission to serve the homeless, then please go to renewedhope.org.uk. It may be that you know of a bit of space, bit of disused office space or something like that. I don't know the exact details, but if you think, actually, I know a bit of a space, I've got some awareness of some room or some rooms, renewedhope.org.uk. Another item here for you, parking in Hawley car parks. 3 of them has been free for the first 20 minutes recently, and that is going to continue. It's all part of the Borough Council's boost to vitality of the town centre, as they put it. Now, if you're going to be going along to benefit from that free period, you've got to get a ticket from the ticket machine in the car park. You've still got to show that so the details can be clearly seen. Ringo, that app service. You can't actually use that for the free parking period, but you just got to go over to the parking machine and put in the details and press the button, put a ticket on your windscreen or the dashboard as you would normally. The car parks where that scheme operates: High Street, Victoria Road and Central car parks just in Hawley. Got some good news stories here about a couple of local businesses which have started up recently. So if you're ready for something refreshing, bubble tea has landed in the Belfry. A choice of 75 plus bubble tea flavours, as well as mixed fruit tea, milk tea and mocktails as well. It's next to H&M on the lower level of the Belfry shopping centre. And Bryony says she's opened up a small shop space inside 29 Bell Street in Reigate. What does Bryony sell? Antique, vintage and pre-loved jewellery. So if you're in the market for that, then get along to Bryony, Bell Street in Reigate, number 29. Always pleased to talk about various things which help the economy, but also the ecology of the area as well. Hawley in Bloom have got a seed swap box. It's been installed at Hawley Library, so you can swap or donate any variety of seed. And if you do donate without swapping, please be mindful not to overwhelm the box with donations, because everything they say is going to fit comfortably inside. But that's a new seed swap box at Hawley Library. Talking of which, residents of Hawley have been busy planting perennial wildflowers on the Upfield roundabout. That's near Cheney Walk. I think some people say Chain, don't they? Or even Cheen, or even Chine. I'm going with Cheney. I think that's probably what you say. It follows on from a successful application for a small grant from Hawley Town Council. And ecologists at Surrey County Council have helped them plant native species that would thrive and increase the biodiversity there, and also add a bit of extra colour at varying times of the year. And more plantings of autumn and spring flowering bulbs, perennial wildflowers, and seed sowing of annuals is going to happen over the next few years. If you'd like to get involved with planting or sowing or preparation, or maybe even the watering group, you can get in touch with Samantha. She's Samantha Meering. She leads the resident watering group, and she's on 07796 693423. Spring planting includes cowslips, red campion, oxeye daisy, knapweed and yarrow. Some of those obviously won't necessarily flower until next year. And bulb planting is going to be happening in September. Crocus, wild narcissus, snowdrops. It's going to be a riot of colour. It's going to look absolutely fantastic, isn't it? In the spring and in the autumn as well. Yellow rattle seed's going to be sown in November for a couple of years. And that plant, they tell me, is capable of self-sowing, so it should take hold in a couple of years, and that will reduce the need for further sowing as well. And low-growing wildflower seeds will be sown in areas where grass will be kept shorter, and that'll increase the biodiversity as well. That sounds fantastic, doesn't it? If you want to take a look at that, it's at the Upfield Cheney Walk roundabout in Hawley. Mentioned quite a bit recently, didn't we, about the Reigate Summer Festival. Absolutely quite right to do that. And I did mention that Redhill was going to get something similar a little bit later on in the year. Indeed they are. It's between the 5th and the 12th of October. It's called the Arts Takeover. Already lined up, an immense and immersive art exhibition and pop-up, and various theatre performances in the Belfry, stand-up comedy writing workshops, silk painting, sketching, watercolour tutorial, a glow-in-the-dark paint party, which sounds interesting, circus skills for adults, including learning to walk on stilts, ukulele and singing workshops, open choir rehearsals, various performances in the Belfry from local dance groups, musicians as well, including Reigate School of Ballet, the Include Choir, Cuban dance, Bollywood dancing, Gothic storytelling, poetry and artist-led mural painting as well. Now they do need to find rooms for an open mic session, ballet for beginners, Irish dancing and an introduction to life drawing. Is that the one where you take your kit off? Is that the one? I don't know. Probably not a shop front then for that one. If you or your venue can help, they'd love to hear from you. So please get in touch with me and I'll pass your details on. to Kay, who is the lady behind it all. The full programme is going to be available on the Harlequin website in the not too distant future. So if you've got... Actually, I've got Kay's details here. K.Hymas, Hymas, at reigate-banstead.gov.uk. Kay.hymas at reigate-banstead.gov.uk. It may be that you've got a bit of space that you can lend them, which will be absolutely fantastic, and it may be you can get a bit of publicity for what you usually have going on in that space as well. And as I say, full programme will be available shortly. So maybe you're after an adventure to go and pick your own fruit this year. Maybe it's something you want to do with the kids, for example. Maybe before they break up for their school summer holidays. I'm not sure fruit's going to be much available, is it, actually, when the summer holidays start? But various seasonal fruits, perhaps at different times. Well, I haven't found any PYO farms in the Planet Reigate area. Let me know if you've got one. But a little bit further afield. I mean, obviously, you've got to dodge the dragons if you give any of these a try. But flower farms in Godstone, they have cherries, raspberries, strawberries, and plums. So that's Flower Farm in Godstone, which isn't a million miles away. Heading in the other direction, Garsons at Esher. You can see on their website what's ready to pick. So we've gone east, we've gone west. Let's go south-ish. New House Farm in Horsham. Do you know about them? And strawberries, raspberries, and tayberries. Do you know about tayberries? Ooh. Pick your own throughout June through until early August at the fantastically named Stone Pits Farm in Sevenoaks. That's a little bit further afield, isn't it? Always kind of check before you go. There are still some left to be picked, and obviously you don't know what the weather's going to be doing, whether other people have got there before you, whether birds have got there before you, or whether there's been a deluge of rain, or maybe it's been such fantastic weather that all sorts of people have been and they've eaten them. I'm sorry, they've picked them all. So there you go for all of those. Let's quickly run through those again. A little bit further afield, don't often do this. Flower Farm in Godstone, Garsons in Esher, New House Farm near Horsham, and also Stone Pits Farm at Sevenoaks. You heard about those on the Planet Reigate podcast.
The Belfry Shopping Centre, Redhill. Ditch the click for hassle-free local shopping in a welcoming environment. See, touch, smell and try before you buy, and speak to real people who can advise you. The Belfry Shopping Centre, Redhill. Woodlands Lettings, connecting landlords with tenants for over 20 years. If you have a property to let, pop into our office on Station Road by the Belfry main entrance for a coffee and a chat. Or call 01737 372 797.
In our sports this week, do you want something to aim for at the end of the summer? How about a half marathon, 10k, 5k or a kids race? Well, our friends over at include.org say they've got a few free Run Reigate places left to give to people who run and fundraise over £150 for them. So if you're interested in that, and also helping them create a community where no one is excluded because of communication disabilities, then you can email them for more information. info@include.org. They say funds raised through personal challenges and events like Run Reigate keep small charities thriving. Again, info@include.org. Okay, we'll give you a heads up so you avoid the hold-ups. Part of the M25 is due to close next weekend for a full weekend to allow for more work. It's been going on a couple of 3 times already this year, a couple more sessions still to go, but this coming weekend the motorway between junctions 10 and 11 is going to be closed from 9 p.m. this coming Friday the 12th of July to 6 a.m. Monday the 15th of July. It's all to do with that bridge that they're building at the Junction 10 roundabout. And it's the third of 5 full weekend closures. As I say, there's another couple due to come before Christmas. A diversion route from our direction, Junction 10 to Junction 11, come off the M25 at 10 and then go northbound on the A3 to the Paynes Hill junction and then head towards Woking and Byfleet and then go back down to the M25 Junction 11 down the A320. So obviously that closure will affect you if you're going to the west of England, if you're going to Wales, if you're also going not quite that far, but maybe over to Heathrow or to some kind of event, maybe at Wembley or at Twickenham as well. Well, as you may know, the Planet Reigate podcast is strictly non-party political. We don't take sides in council, county or general elections, even though we have been asked by a few local parties over recent weeks to interview their candidates. There is an exception when the MP is from way back when in history. And today, of all days, in the episode that's coming out the day after the general election of 2024, I thought it'd be interesting to look back at some of our past local representatives at Westminster or those who have lived here. And it's okay, we are going way, way back. In the next few minutes, tales of corruption and nepotism, massive debts, curious antics in the bedroom, but it's okay, I'll keep it family friendly. We travel to America for one story, and back here I tell you the local MPs from years ago whose names you still know today but perhaps don't realise, and the man who represented Reigate whose name has been known for 2,000 years. Join us now as we go back in time. Okay, first up, Cynthia Curzon, who, according to the Oxford Dictionary of National Biography, was born in Reigate Priory in 1898. Now, Cynthia didn't have much to do with politics locally, but she did marry a certain Oswald Mosley in 1920, and it was a complicated relationship because before they were married, he had a brief fling with her older sister. And after they were married, he had an affair with her younger sister. And after her father remarried, he had an affair with Cynthia's stepmother as well. I bet Christmas get-togethers were interesting. Cynthia and Oswald were both Labour MPs. She for Stoke-on-Trent and he for Smethwick in the West Midlands. Now, Cynthia died in 1933 and Oswald went on to marry Diana Mitford. And amongst the guests at the wedding, a certain Adolf Hitler. Now, if you go back 10 MPs from that, you get to 1885, and Sir Trevor Lawrence is not our main focus, even though he and his wife did create a celebrated garden at Burford Lodge. Ring a bell? It's now the Burford Bridge Hotel at the foot of Box Hill. Well, the main interest is that in 1885, it was the first time for 17 years that Reigate had actually returned an MP, because the seat had been disenfranchised back in 1868 after years of complaints about vote rigging and corruption in local politics, which were mostly ignored because they were investigated by a committee of MPs. The government decided to let judges decide if elections were fair or not. 4 constituencies, count them off, Great Yarmouth, Lancaster, Totnes and Reigate, were considered so corrupt that royal commissions were set up to investigate further. Yes, Reigate was one of 4 boroughs in the whole of the country that was considered really, really corrupt. So following the passing of the Corrupt Practices Prevention Act, Reigate's seat was removed and the votes included in Guildford's numbers instead. It took until 1885 before another redistribution re-established Reigate as a separate constituency. What sort of corruption was going on to cause these complaints? Well, the main accusations were bribery and treating. Now, treating was the offer of any food, drink, gifts or other enticements to get people in the constituency to vote for you. And in 1866, the good people of Reigate presented a petition to Parliament to hold an inquiry, and Hansard records that £5 was about the going rate for a vote in Reigate. £5. Now, in those days, elections could extend over a week, so voters could look forward to several days of free beer and food just by saying, yeah, I'll vote for you. That's not a problem. Of course I'm going to vote for you. Yeah, where's my pint? It wasn't just the voting, which was a little bit dodgy. Only a few people were eligible to vote in the first place, normally through property ownership. Can you see a problem with this? Well, if there was a local landlord who owned most of the properties, they could put their friends and relatives in those properties, sometimes just for the duration of an election, and then get their votes. So they get into Westminster. Or they could just sell the seat to the highest bidder, who could then influence the electorate. Even more rotten than Reigate, yeah, I know, even more rotten, was Gatton, which one American commentator noted in his paper, Electoral Corruption in England in the Old Days.
Now let me close these brief notes of this unspeakably rotten period by citing the instance of the borough of Gatton, in Surrey, in which a prominent gentleman avoided all possible trouble by buying the whole borough and appointing himself collector of taxes, church warden, overseer, surveyor of the highways, and returning officer of elections. Then he proposed himself as its representative in Parliament, approved himself, elected himself, and invited himself to a dinner to celebrate his return. And nobody as much as laughed at the travesty or resented it, so debased was the public conscience of the time.
Now, one thing which caused all the competition for votes in Reigate was that before 1832, Reigate actually returned 2 MPs. So the 2 main families in the district had agreed to take 1 each. Can you think who those local families might be? Give you some clues in a few moments' time. So, in 1832, the Great Reform Act saw that Reigate was one of the smallest boroughs in the country, and along with many other constituencies, reduced the number of seats to 1, because it wasn't really fair, was it, that a small constituency returned 2 MPs. Now, one of the last MPs to be returned before Reigate was disenfranchised was a certain William Monson, the Viscount Oxenbridge. He was the second cousin of Frederick John Monson, 5th Baron Monson, who in 1830 bought Gatton Park, so he could send 2 members to Parliament. Unfortunately, as part of the 1832 Great Reform Act, Gatton was downsized to no MPs at all. Of course, Monson Road in Redhill is just off the A23 between Memorial Park and East Surrey College. Now, during that 2 MPs era, 2 family names are prominent. The Cox family and the York family. And the Cox were inextricably intertwined with the Somers. And that was the family who owned Reigate Priory. Philip York became the first Earl of Hardwicke. And of course you'll know of various local references to the York family. York Road, for example. The Somers family, Somers Road. And Hardwicke family, Hardwicke Road joins York Road near Reigate Station. I hope you're following this. The York family returned an MP, sometimes 2, to Westminster in 1831 and 1818 and 1806, 1790, 1768, 1747 and 1741. Well, the Stars and Stripes, the national anthem of the United States of America. And in 1754, a new town was identified to become the capital of the state of Georgia in the USA. Except it wasn't actually a U at that stage. It was just various states of America. And that capital was going to be called Hardwicke. And Hardwicke still exists. And there's a plaque up in Hardwicke which says,
"This site on the Great Ogeechee River, 14 miles from the Atlantic, was selected in 1755 by Governor John Reynolds for the capital of Georgia. He named it for his kinsman, Lord High Chancellor of England, Philip York Hardwicke."
You can see how those names are getting more and more intertwined. Reynolds said, quote, "Hardwicke has a charming situation, the winding of the river making it a peninsula, and it's the only fit place for the capital." it never really got to become the capital of Georgia, did it? It still exists, but it's now classified as one of Georgia's forgotten towns. And the capital of Georgia is Atlanta. Well done. OK, let's go back a little bit further. And the MP for Reigate between 1640 and 1653 was William Lord Monson. Again. Yeah, them. Now, William Monson married Margaret Howard, the widow of Charles, who was known as Howard of Effingham, who owned Reigate Priory. Congratulations to you if you've got Effingham, Reigate Priory, Monson and Howard on your bingo card. Now, he was initially Margaret's page, which is a little bit odd that she married her page, but OK, it's all quite handy because his dad, also William, that must have been confusing, William Monson and his son William Monson, and the Monson family lived just down the road in Kinnersley. Kinnersley? Of course, Kinnersley Manor, which is just down past Sidlow, on the way to Tesco's. Now, unfortunately, our William wasn't very good with money, and not very good at backing the right horse. Now, I'm not talking about horse racing, I'm talking about who he was going to support in politics and royalty at that time. Now, the excellent History of Parliament Online website tells us, quote, re-elected for Reigate, William Monson opposed the king in the Civil War after some hesitation. He was appointed to the court which tried the king and initially attended its proceedings, but he didn't sign the death warrant. Embroiled in financial troubles during the 1640s, he was reputedly imprisoned for debt. His incarceration may have come as something of a relief if the allegations that his third wife and her maidservants had once tied him to the bedpost and whipped him. In 1661 he was degraded and sentenced to life imprisonment, the loss of his estate, and to be carried each 27th of January on a sledge with a rope about his neck from the Tower to Tyburn. And William Monson, the local MP, died in Fleet Prison and was buried at St Bride's, Fleet Street, on the 29th of February 1672. So we've gone all the way back over several decades, haven't we? A couple of 100 years of kind of potted history there as far as our local MPs and representatives go. And you can tell that some names just keep appearing over years and years and years. Now, one more snippet before I end. In 1588, one of Reigate's MPs, do you know their name? You do know their name because the MP, the representative of this area in 1588, went by the fantastic name of Julius Caesar. Obviously not that one, but another one. And that is our summary of stories and scandals of some of our representatives of Reigate and Redhill. And I should finish off by saying our thanks indeed to the website of Park Run Reigate, where much of that information came from, at least to start off with. And if you want to read more about what they've put up there, I know it's surprising, isn't it, that that kind of information is on the Park Run Reigate website, but it is, and you can read up more of it yourself. parkrun.org.uk/Reigate Priory, and you're looking for the page number 314-56.
The Good Time Guide. Things to do and places to go on the Planet Reigate podcast.
Yeah, and I always say, don't I, that please let us know in advance, well in advance, a couple of weeks in advance at least, if you would like something mentioned on the Planet Reigate podcast and our Good Time Guide. And the reason behind that is that sometimes I like to take a break, and this is, after all, the 43rd week in a row that I have produced the Planet Reigate podcast. And when you're actually listening to this, I'm actually away on holiday. So I've pre-recorded, well obviously all podcasts are pre-recorded, but I've pre-recorded this particular week's edition a little bit earlier than usual. So that's why I say it. Always let us know as soon as possible when you have booked something up, when you've booked your hall, when you've booked your entertainers, when you're sending out the tickets and you're doing the publicity, let us know as soon as possible. So let's scooch straight through to Thursday the 11th of July. Now this is interesting. There's a talk on Lady Henry Somerset and Duxhurst, which is happening via the Charlwood Society. So if you want some more details on this, the charlwoodsociety.co.uk, and you can find out where this talk is happening. In fact, I can tell you, it's Thursday the 11th at 7:30 in the Providence Chapel. Now, Roz is going to be talking about Lady Henry Somerset and her farm colony for inebriate women. So, this is a really intriguing story. We must look a little bit more into this, in fact. Following an unhappy marriage to Lord Henry Somerset, Isabel found herself shunned by much of high society in which she had been born. But this gave her a unique empathy for other people who were also judged harshly by society. So she developed a new role in life locally as a social reformer and temperance leader. She was feisty, but she was compassionate as well, and always gave of herself to better the lives of others. Yeah, the Duxford community, it was a house which was just to the south of Sidlow. So if you're going down to Hookwood, over there to the right-hand side, I think there is still a Duxford Lane or a Duxford Road down there, kind of hidden away. The house, the building, is no longer there, I believe. But there she had women who had fallen, inverted commas, and were suffering from alcohol abuse, misuse. Hopefully I'm being careful with the language that I'm using so as not to offend. And she helped them and put them to work and tried to help them in other ways as well. Really interesting story. I must look into more about that and bring it to you on the programme. If your interest has been piqued from what I've told you thus far, then Thursday, 7:30, Providence Chapel is where you can learn much more about it. Okay, Gatton Community Theatre have got in touch, and Maggie wrote to me to tell me about this. She says there's an open-air promenade theatre in Gatton Park. It's called A Journey to Remember. It's the 11th to the 14th and the 18th to the 21st at 7:30 at Gatton Park, Rocky Lane. She says the play will take the audience on a colourful journey with the play's actors as they travel through the beautiful grounds of Gatton Park to 9 stunning locations within the Capability Brown design landscape. Yeah, so you're actually going to be moving through the parkland yourself. And the story is about a group of travellers following a star. Who were they? What gifts did they take? Where did the gifts come from? Who did they meet? What did they find? Was it all they hoped that it would be? It's a beautiful story, apparently, of love, forgiveness and salvation. And Gatton Community Theatre are unique in this part of Surrey, with opportunities for all who want to take part. No membership or production fees. Actors of ages this year range from 7 to just over 80, and the production is supported by a group of singers from the local Path Choir. And there's a backstage team of more than 30 people, stage managers, costume, props, chaperones for children, stewards, box office staff, first aiders. There's a whole kit and caboodle there, isn't it? Sounds intriguing, though, actually going with the performers as they walk through the parkland. Thursday the 11th to Sunday the 14th and Thursday the 18th to Sunday the 21st of July, all performances at 7:30 at Gatton Park. Advance tickets, adults £15, children £8, gattontheatre.org.uk. Let's move on to Friday the 12th, and the Charlwood Music Festival is going on Friday, Saturday and Sunday, the 12th, 13th and 14th. There's free entrance, live music, food bar, community craft stalls as well. Planning is well underway for this year's festival. I should hope so at this time scale. Alan Bailey and his music, rock, swing and a bit of everything. It's 8 p.m. Friday the 12th, Charlwood Parish Hall. Music and a hot supper and a licensed bar, tickets £15. But the Saturday starts with church bells at 11:30, calling everyone to the festival. A free afternoon of music to around 6 p.m, with this year's finale being played out by the famous Okie Dokie Band. The afternoon lineup includes the Charlwood Singers, plus Charlwood-born renowned folk musician Martin Wyndham Reed and jazz guitarist Shane Hill, and featuring a return of their own Appalachian clog dancers. which sounds interesting as well, doesn't it? And many, many more as well, they say as well. Barbecue, afternoon teas, ice cream, local craft stalls for you to browse to. Come Sunday, the day starts with the community church service at St Nicholas Parish Church at 11, including live accompaniment from the duo Hand to Mouth and the Childwood Singers. Back outside for a brunch around 12:30, more live performances through until 4. So all sorts of things going on. If you want more details, music.charlwood@gmail.com. Saturday the 13th, go and join Merstham Movies on Saturday the 13th. They'll be screening The Little Mermaid, certificate PG, opening the doors at 4 p.m, the film starting at 4:30, and you can get your tickets 01737 33 3461, and refreshments will be available before the film starts and during the interval as well. Adults £4, children £2. They say do bring a cushion, it's not plush seats, and they can only take cash, so be advised about that. So cash and a cushion and some kids. Cash, cushion and kids. How about that for a threesome? 4 p.m. at Merstham Movies, which is happening at Merstham Community Hub. And the Planet Reigate podcast is an official media partner of Pub in the Park, Priory Park, Reigate, between the 12th and the 14th of July. For more information and tickets, go to pubintheparkuk.com/Reigate. And it is, of course, next weekend, which is really, really exciting. Something for everyone. As the UK's most popular food and music festival, it's a day out, 3 days out. Well, kind of 2 days out and an evening. Full of memorable moments, delicious dishes, pop-up restaurants, and fantastic artists as well. I mean, the music lineup is absolutely fantastic, isn't it? Friday night, Sam Ryder. Saturday afternoon, Mel C. Saturday evening, McFly. And Sunday, Gabrielle, Scouting for Girls, the Hoosiers, and the J. Rayner Sextet as well. And also the chefs and the food, all sorts of things going on there. I mean, you know, some of the food that we've been talking about here over the last several weeks, from the likes of Tom Kerridge, Simon Rimmer, Andy Oliver, Matt Tebbett, Candice Brown, Becky Excel, Jay Rayner, and someone who I hadn't heard about before, and that is DJ Barbecue as well. So them and many, many more. I mean, those are the ones you've heard from the telly, but also some up-and-comings as well, and some fantastic food. So let's whet your appetite a little bit. We've got Tangra prawn, we've got Alabama white sauce chicken, smoked beef open sandwiches, classic shrimp and grits, Vietnamese honey and lemongrass barbecue chicken in giant Yorkshire pudding, traditional crispy pork spring rolls, braised chicken and tarragon loaded fries, ginger wings and fried mushrooms. What else we got here? Crispy Goan cauliflower, spiced soft shell crab. Boy, oh boy, there's some really good stuff which is happening here at the Pub in the Park, the 12th, 13th and 14th of July. More details, pubintheparkuk.com.
Planet Reigate Stars, thanking local heroes who are out of this world.
And don't forget, before we go, at the end of the show, a natural sound from a place you know. But first of all, our Planet Reigate Star Award, short one this week. Just wanted to thank everyone who took the time and stopped and chatted with me in the park today. I was so stressed, but thankfully I did find my ring. You wondered where that one was going. So thank you from that person to all of the other people who helped her find her ring and helped calm her down at that moment of stress. You all deserve a Planet Reigate sprinkle of stardust. And our 60-second soundscape before we go at the end of the show is not too far away, because so is the end of the show. But I just wanted to highlight a couple of jobs which you may find of interest. One at the Belfry in their security department, looking for proactive security guards, multiple roles, so several full-time, part-time and evening roles there. £12.50 an hour. And uniform and full training provided, and so on. Overtime opportunities too. Free parking. Well, that's a good inducement, isn't it? Steve Collins@the-belfry.co.uk for that one. And a couple of people pointed this out to us before. It's an advert from Us in a Bus, which is a charity based over at Redhill Aerodrome, which supports people who are often isolated and find communicating with the world and the people in a massive challenge. And they put out a really fun, intriguing advert. They say, "We are hiring. Do you find yourself pulling a face at a baby in the supermarket queue? Do you like lemon sherbets? Do you want to work 9 to 5 and not bank holidays? Can you make up songs about the weather, people, things that have happened? You could be the proud owner of one of our polo shirts." Yeah, Us in a Bus is hiring. And if you want some more information on that, victoria.goody, Goody, at usinabus.org.uk. Thank you so much indeed for the loan of your ears this week. You're listening to this, and I've been sunning myself on a beach in Spain, but I'm sure the weather locally in RH 1, 2 and 3, Reigate, Redhill and Merstham, Buckland, Betchworth and Brockham has been just as fine. I'm Peter Stewart. I'll be with you next week as well, as the Planet Reigate podcast continues. But
The 60-second soundscape. Local natural sounds, uninterrupted.
before we go, at the end of the show, natural sounds from a place you know. Last week, bells from Redhill. This week, bells from Reigate St Mary's at noon, with robin, blackbird and jackdaw.
The Planet Reigate podcast was produced and presented by Peter Stewart.